Woo! What's up, guys? Hope all is well. Hey, Justin here. Just got off the phone with a young lady who is interested in purchasing her first home, and she likes the ability to possibly buy a duplex instead of a single family home. If you listen to this video, there's tons of different benefits and value that can be added to her into her financial situation. If she, instead of buying a single family home, she buys a duplex where she can rent out one unit and live in the other. She could live rent-free or mortgage-free, I should say. She could have someone else pay down her mortgage. She has all these deductions that she can do and her taxes and things like that. So check it out. If this sounds like something that you could be interested in, listen to the video. We may answer or talk about some questions or concerns you may have about doing something like that. So again, appreciate you guys for clicking on this video, and let's get into it. Yeah, how can I help you? How's everything going?
Everything's going good. So I don't know if you remember me, but I have some questions about, like, you know, kind of making residual income out of purchasing the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you mentioned, like, doing the duplex situation. Now, I currently have an FHA approval.
Okay.
And they did say that I can do a duplex. However, with those, I don't think that they give you like a budget for repairs.
Right. Yeah. No,
so
they
I
don't.
probably might have to look into like a 203K.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of want to know, like, if it's even something that could be worthwhile with a 203K, or, you know, all the different, like, I don't know if you've ever done that or you know anything about those and like the process. It's just kind of all new.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm definitely familiar with both. You know, obviously FHA is a great product just because, you know, you can get in for, you know, pretty low down. Like you said, the challenging part is that you know, if you're using FHA, you either have to buy, you know, a property that's already done up that you don't necessarily need to do any major work to, or go the 203K route. The only challenge with the 203K is that how like process intensive it is, and how much like just red tape you have to go through with the housing authorities to, you know, because for example, there's certain contractors that they want to do the work. They have to vet all the work that's done. You're going to spend much more to get the work done than you would, you know, just because
it's
they're
not like knew someone who wasn't like that.
Yeah, exactly. So they, you know, they're going to want to go with big major companies that do big major developments, and they've got, you know, steep processes and steep systems to be able to document everything, to price out everything. So it is, you know, it's much more of a process to go the 401, you know, not the 401k, the FHA 203k route. It is possible. I've seen people pull it off. I'm, you know, pretty familiar with it. It just, I think, depends on, you know, what you're willing to kind of tolerate and what, you know, what your time frame is.
Right.
I mean, what was
that last thing you said?
Oh, no, I was just saying, I think it just depends on what you're willing to tolerate and what your time frame is.
Right. I mean, I don't really have a time frame. That is one good thing right now. Did you get this? Yeah, I don't really have a time frame. Like, my daughter doesn't want to be in a good school district by the time my daughter's able to go to school, but like, she's only 7 months at the moment, so.
Got it. Yeah, really, so you got some time.
Yeah, it's not really a huge rush. However, it's something I definitely want to get done in 2019. My lease is up in July, and I can pay month to month, but who wants to pay an extra $100?
Yeah.
in rent if they don't have to.
Exactly. So your goal would be to move or to have a decision by, you know, July sometime on kind of what's next, so you're not just paying much more in rent than you have to just for the sake of staying there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I think, and there are out there, you know, I think, are you open to the possibility of renting a duplex or buying a duplex?
I have no thinking. I have done that, but I don't know. So here in Columbus, finding a duplex in a decent area in my price range is going to be very complicated.
Got it.
Even with the duplex, you know, I don't know. It's unlikely that I'll find something that'll be worth it, that I would feel comfortable living on the other half of here in Columbus.
Yeah.
Like if it was Athens, my budget would go a larger way.
Yeah, right.
But not here.
Exactly. What are you budgeting for? What's kind of your your price range on a duplex, or just on anything? What's kind of your ceiling for purchasing?
Ideally, I would like to stay under around 130, but I do realize that I have to raise that budget, so I'm kind of raising to about 160 at max.
Got
170.
It. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is more of a mentality thing than a like living situation thing. Someone who's willing to rent out a duplex, or not rent out a duplex, but buy a duplex and rent out the other unit, or buy a 3-plex or a quad, because you can go up to 4 units if you wanted to. But obviously where you are in that market, if you can't find a duplex, it's going to be really, probably impossible to find 4 units in one building. But it's more of a mentality thing than anything. So the question becomes, like, where are you mentally with it? Because for someone that I'm talking about, this is somebody who's, they're going to like sacrifice in your position. They're going to sacrifice for the next 3 to 5 years and stack a whole bunch of cash, because now you can get a mortgage on a duplex and you live rent free. You might not be in the school zone that you want to be in. You might not be in the community that you want to live in, but in exchange for that, you get the opportunity to build wealth. So it's one of those things where it's more of a sacrificial decision, not a long-term warm fuzzy feeling decision. It's a decision that like your friends and family may say, like, why are you doing that? That's stupid. Like, why would you live in that neighborhood? Like, why are you moving there? It's one of those mentalities versus I'm going to be in the great neighborhood with the great school district with the white picket fences and the cookie cutter. Like, this is not that in your situation. This would have to be like, I'm going to live in the hood for 3 to 5 years because I'm going to be able to stack some major money and be able to generate and create wealth, and change, my last name instead of, going the other route. So it's definitely much more of a sacrificial decision, and it has to be one that's like, it's a long game decision. It's trading in short-term convenience for the long-term upside.
Right. And I'm definitely open to that, and I have definitely considered that. If had it just been myself in the situation and me not having a daughter, then I would have been a lot more open to these things. But with that, I have to think about my child's safety. You know what I mean? And there have been some things that I don't know Columbus very well. I've only been here for about 3 years.
Okay.
So it's kind of, in Akron, I could buy something on the west side. And, they say west side is a rough area, but the west side. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's, exactly.
I can't make those type of, risks, like,
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it. I totally get where you're coming from. I totally get that. I think I think it becomes all a matter of perspective. Like, for example, houses that I own, right? Like, I own some houses in neighborhoods that I wouldn't necessarily live in, but people, they go all crazy for these houses. There's waiting lists to get into some of these houses. I get tons of applications to get into some of these houses. And so for me, I say I wouldn't necessarily live in that neighborhood, but for other people, it's a dream to live in some of those neighborhoods. And so it's like, it's a matter of perspective. And, there's definitely areas in Columbus, I've got some family in Columbus. There's definitely some areas in Columbus that aren't like war zone neighborhoods, but are on up and up. That's kind of in the middle, where you're not, again, you might have the Akron public school comparable school district, but again, this isn't a house in this mentality that you're going to live in for the next 7 years. This is something that you're going to be in probably for the next 3 to 4. Your daughter isn't even ready for school at that point. So it's like, can I do this for 3 to 4 years? And again, it's not saying that you're going to have to like roll your windows up every time you pull up to your house and have your gun on you and make sure, I'm not saying buy a house in a neighborhood like that, But there's tons of other neighborhoods that you can buy in that aren't that far extreme, but that just, you know, like they're just working class neighborhoods. They might not have the good school district, or they might not have the great aesthetics that, you know, like some of the other parts of Columbus have, but they're still good areas. And because like I said, for you, you're thinking more, like I said, this is thinking more of it from an investor mindset than like a consumer mindset. And so from an investor mindset, you will actually prefer to buy something in these neighborhoods that I'm talking about, because when recessions happen and when corrections in the economy and the market happen, typically that real estate that's in the middle of the pack is unfazed. So typically, you know, the higher end neighborhoods, they see the biggest impact in economic shifts versus, you know, the houses that are in the middle or even the lower end, you know. So so I would consider that, you know. So like I said, from an investor, I don't buy houses in A neighborhoods. I only buy houses in C neighborhoods. You know, even I go C and below. I won't necessarily do war zones, but I'll do C and D neighborhoods. But again, because now when something happens, your investment is now protected against, you know, economic shifts, recessions, corrections, you know, whatever may happen with the economy.
Right. That's definitely something worth considering. I have been looking at some duplexes here and there, and I don't know, it's just one of those things. Like, I understand, like, with that, I would save a great ton of money. The loan would pretty much essentially pay for itself.
Right.
You know, so
I mean, you'll be living rent free. Exactly. Like whatever. Yeah. I don't know what you're paying rent now, but like, if you stack that every single month, you know what I'm saying? Like that is a slingshot for anybody. You know, that is catapulting. Like if somebody got the opportunity to live rent free, I mean, everything in your world changes at that point. You know, like certain people, you know, if they didn't have a mortgage or if they didn't have a rent payment, they would change jobs in a heartbeat. They would like go for a dream in a heartbeat. They would go, you know, they would be a little bit more lateral moving if they had, you know, they didn't have as high as expenses. So, you know, it's I don't know. It's just like I said, it ultimately comes down to mentality for you. I think it ultimately comes down to how you perceive that next move. For me personally, if I had it to do it again, when buying my first house, if I knew what I knew now, I would have tried to buy as many doors. Yeah, I would have tried to buy a 4-unit. You know, in this area, I could probably find one, and yours is probably not going to be as easy. But because what happened with me is, right, like when I moved, so I bought my house, my wife and I, we bought our house, you know, when we were, I think, 21, right when we were graduating college, and we moved. So we moved for opportunity, we moved to California, and at that time, I just bought the house, so I couldn't sell it because I just bought it, so I didn't have enough value in the home to sell it. So I decided to rent it out, and the dope thing was I was getting more money in rent than I had on my mortgage. So I was able to pocket a few $100s a month. But anytime like I had a vacancy, my house was 100% vacant, right? So like if somebody moved out in the middle time between them moving out and finding a new tenant, I had to foot the mortgage myself out of pocket. So I was paying my rent in California, which was sky high, my expenses in California, which was sky high, plus a mortgage for a house that was back in Ohio. And so at a duplex situation, if a tenant leaves, you're not 100% vacant. You're only 50% vacant. You know, so it's just a great opportunity for anyone that can buy them. You know, but like I said, there's obviously for you other factors and other things that might be more important to you. You know, using real estate to create wealth might not be right now what's in your, like what you want to do right now. Like I said, for you, you might value a better neighborhood, or you might, you know, value whatever else over that. So like I said, that has to be a decision that you have to make. For in my space, like I said, I am coming more from a investor mindset, and so like I talk to everybody, right? Like I would be getting all of those duplexes on the phone and understanding the stories and the narratives of why it's been on, what's going on. Because again, it could be something like completely non-impactful to you on why that person hasn't sold it yet. It could be a lot of houses are on the market for a long time just because the person selling it still lives in it. And they haven't really dedicated a lot of time in trying to get it sold. They just threw it up on the market and they wanted to see what would happen. You know, and now it could be a point where now they're actually motivated. Now they're like, okay, I actually want to sell this now. So like narratives change, motivation changes all the time. You know, but it's like to find that right one, it will be worth it. But again, it'll take going against the normal flow of how people typically buy houses. You know, you won't have, you know, it won't be wise to have your realtor do everything. You know, you'll have, like most now, like it's not the whole HGTV process where, you know, they find your houses for you and then you just see the top three. That's not how it works, right?
No.
So
I'm definitely very hands-on. I don't think she's ever sent me a property that she thought would work for me. I think it's more so me like, hey,
yep,
I know what's going on with this one.
Yep, that's exactly it.
That one, you know?
That's exactly it.
So, yeah, so I'm definitely very hands-on with the process, but
yeah.
Something. Last question though on the whole duplex thing. When you run into issues where they're occupied by tenants, is that a bigger hassle than benefit, like evictions? I don't know how that works when they're occupied and you're purchasing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not, it's, I mean, like I said, I do it every day, so it's not necessarily a hassle. It'll take a little learning curve for you. If you don't want to deal with it, you can just hire a property manager to do it all. You know, so you don't have to be the landlord necessarily. You know, you could own, you know, I have people and I know people who they live in one unit and the person that lives in the other unit just think that they're a renter. They don't even know they own it. You know, nobody has to know that you're the owner of it if you decide to live in the other side of it. You could totally hire property management and have property management sort out everything and deal with the tenants and deal with evictions and deal with maintenance and all that stuff. There's going to be obviously a cost to that, but if you don't want to do that, which is typically about 10%, so whatever that rent is for that unit, most property managers will charge you 10% to manage it a month, or like I said, you do it yourself, which again, it's not hard. It's just learning something new, and there will be times where you might be hassled and it might be inconvenient, but you know, just kind of figuring out what's important to you. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Kind of opened up my perspective a little bit.
No, I think that's smart.
Kind of redirected me to it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think a lot of people, they consider houses as assets when they're really not. You'll learn when you buy this house. If you just buy a single family house, you'll learn it's not really an asset. It's really a liability. You know, because now when the furnace fails, you're responsible. Now when a tree hits the house, you don't have a number to call. It's you. The buck stops with you, and so you know, it can be scary initially, but like I said, what's more amazing is being able to have that income coming in where it now is an asset because you get paid every single month, you know, to own it.
Right.
And like I said, it's like this is only a small piece of convenience while you live in it, but the second that you move and decide to buy a second house, oh my god, like this will be the best decision you made. You'll be like, oh my god, I'm so thankful that I bought a duplex instead of buying a single family, because now I'm getting X in rent. The banks look at a duplex a little differently than they do look at single family homes. You know, you will be thankful that you made that decision. So but yeah, like I said, just, you know, keep me posted. Like I said, don't necessarily, you know, be afraid to text me or give me a call. You know, if I can answer or help you with anything. But I think, like I said, the number one thing is that this will be more of a mindset thing for you than anything. You know, if you have the mindset of like embracing the suck for 3 to 4 years, you will be in a great spot. 3 to 4 years from now with a child at that point that's now ready for school. If you just have one, you know, maybe you might have another one, I don't know. But if you just have one kid, you'll have one that's ready for school. You'll have built some dope cash flow over these past 3 to 4 years. You stacked cash, you paid down debt, whatever you wanted to do, and now you'll be like set up for like that next step.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. It sounds good. I will. I will definitely look into that. I've been the other Justin are really close though. That's been only about like, you know, credit and everything. And
got it.
I actually have completely paid off all debt, so this is student loans.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
hopefully trying to get in the ballpark of a conventional loan, but, you know. Oh, that's something else. With buying a duplex, do you think it would be more beneficial for a conventional loan versus the FHA with like the duplex? I know FHA allows, they have a lot of stipulations, so they make it harder.
Yeah, a little bit.
For a side thing.
Yeah, they do got more. I mean, I don't know. Well, I would definitely go on the side of conventional because you're gonna pay what you gain in lower down payment. You'll pay in PMI every month.
Right.
So your interest is, you know. So I don't know if you've got it to put down. You know, I would.
I'm definitely the mindset of paying 5%.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I've already went for the highest amount, you know, and just settled in with that. So anything less than that is great, but
yeah,
I'm prepared for 5.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you could at least do the 5 and you don't have to incur the PMI, I would do that. And like I said, that opens you up a little bit more. You know, so like I said, that'll get your monthly payment down. You know, at least 100. Most PMI is like around $100 at minimum. So you're gonna be saving $100 a month at least.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was not too happy about that FHA thing. Because they do require the PMI, so.
Yep. Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to hold you too long.
No problem. All right. Good talking to you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, teacher.
You're welcome. Bye.